The case can outweigh and turn the case first with the time frame argument that a collapse in hedge leads to immediate extinction, especially because my analysis of things like Iran trying to get nuclear weapons and increasing tensions throughout Asia, especially between people like India and Pakistan. That means that once the United States is in there to keep people in check, that they're going to go to a nuclear war as soon as they can, so that no one else is going to be able to stop. And then the second is that U.S. power is the only way to solve for cooperation in the status quo because of other rising powers like China and India are going to want to pursue their own ends outside of the United States. And the third is that the U.S. power, the key U.S. power checks absolute truth through things like democracy, because so many people are contributing. That means that it increases the number of truths contributed. So there is no one truth throughout the United Nations. There's so many people introducing different forms of truth, so that'll turn back any chance of their absolute truth arguments. And also the absolute truth is worse for the debate because that means that they reject things like arguments that they reject things like death is bad or that racism should be rejected in all instances. That means that that's inevitably going to lead to things like genocides because no one is able to say no, Hitler's wrong or no, Pol Pot, you can't do this anymore. That'll turn back any chance of their ethics and any chance of extinction because no one is going to be able to try against unethical actions. So that means that you should vote on Kira there. And then go on to the hedge case itself. But first on the top they say state education is bad. But first extend across the King Guard. The King Guard said he says that threats are inevitable. And then the status quo because they're always coming up. We're never going to be able to predict new ones or be able to stop them. And then extend across the cross Williams card. It says that state education is always bad because it reflects that it's able to take new forms. And then the Poitier card says that just because we use the state doesn't mean we're endorsing it. That we're not embracing its unethical practices just by using it. And then extend across and then extending across this type of argument is what kills resolve. That's the Iago argument. Because when we don't have the full support of everyone throughout the United States, that means that the troops aren't able to. The United States isn't able to have the support of actually going out and doing this. So this is specifically proven by things like Vietnam. That one of the main reasons one of the reasons that we weren't able to go out and actively fight the Vietnam War is because we had such dissonance throughout the United States. And then Iago said specifically that each individual is key in this round, especially. And then they say extinction is possible, but that doesn't change the United States. That doesn't change the USFG. And even if we're already extinct, that we exist in some form now. And that the K is key to avoiding double extinction. Yeah, sure. We may have already gone extinct in some other reality. There may be other types of reality, but the fact is that we exist in this round right now. Things like happiness and enjoying our lives are still possible. That's probably the reason why you should vote for a plan that avoids extinction for the longest amount of time. Also, there's speech check. This speech check kills resolve outside of this round specifically because they as people are reducing military resolve because the military isn't able to draw on the support of everyone from the United States. Again, just cross my analysis from Iago above, and then they say there's no internal link to undermining hedge, but again, just cross by the Iago analysis I made above. Also, that's the impact that leads to the impact of the United States collapse because we're not able to effectively go out and war fight, which is inevitably lead to nuclear war throughout the U.S. Just cross by my impact analysis from overview, and then the bottom they say disarm is key to real peace, but extend across that a strong hegemon is key to real peace. The Pax Americana, was real, and it's key to self-oppression as well because states without power, states with declining power take rights away from the individual. This is specifically proven in places like Korea and Vietnam that as they collapsed, they took powers away from the individual and killed more of their own people than places like the United States right now, especially because things like democracy are checking throughout the United States of the oppression, and that a strong central government and a strong hegemony is key to promoting democracy both in the United States and throughout the world abroad. And then at the bottom they said apocalyptic rhetoric leads to political action. But first extend across the rhetoric is good card. He says that specifically this type of rhetoric is key to getting people involved, so that'll turn back their biopower arguments because this type of rhetoric actually gets people more involved, especially this is proven with things like the Green Movement. That terms like this type of threatening rhetoric has led people to do things like join the Green Movement and stop pollution and things like that. So that means it's key to getting people on board with our movement in the first place. And then at the bottom they say the extinction is inevitable, but that's only without a stable hegemon. On the back they say the U.S. leadership leads to destruction, but first destruction on that scale would decrease hegemony. The U.S. wouldn't do that specifically to itself. Also, there's no viable alternative to United States leadership right now. That means you should vote on the K. You should vote on the K because replacing it with something else would be substantially worse. That's the impact argument on the bottom. Then go to case first. Extend across it. They don't solve imperialism of the state outside of it. They're not able to solve it. Because they act outside of the state, they're not able to solve the imperialism of it. That's like sitting outside of Congress with and forming a picket line, but the people inside are still making bills to go into other countries and kill natives, things like that. That we need to act through the state to be able to effectively speak to Congress and do things like effectively tell them that we're not going to stand for things like oppression. That means they're not going to be able to solve this. And then their analysis of the deep ecologists versus conservationists proves our point that the two groups can argue with each other as absurdly as they want, but the fact that the United States federal government keeps polluting because because they're not engaging with the state that proves the argument that I just made above. And then they say the F Saul see the political, but first there's no warrant in that card. It just says some stuff about political action, but some absolute. They're unable to solve or see the political, especially because of things like reading that. If we were to read this in front of people in Congress, they would laugh us out around. I know they're going to say that they would do it anyway, but the fact is that if we read something like a nuclear power act, the people in Congress would at least take us seriously and say, all right, these people could become good policymakers one day, especially. So that means that they're unable to solve this, and then across the and. This will turn their framework key arguments because their interpretation kills any chance of future political action in the first place. And even if they win framework, this will turn all the impacts as we control the question of what we actually need to do to learn in the first place. And then on the bottom they make this absolute truth argument again. Just cross my mind analysis from before, but at first how absolute truths are about how we need some absolute truths to be able to keep things like saying death is bad to make sure that not everyone in the world goes extinct.